After a disappointing performance at the Austrian GP last week, Mercedes fans are in need of some good news. And guess what? We have just that. The 7-time world champion has confirmed that he will be joining the Mercedes team. But that's not all. Mercedes has also revealed the exciting upgrades they will be bringing to Silverstone. But wait, there's more! Tension has been brewing between Horner and Toto Wolff, and now Horner has fired back at his rival. Curious to know what Hamilton's announcement is and what upgrades Mercedes has in store for Silverstone? Well, get ready to be surprised, and make sure to stick around until the end to hear Horner's fierce response to Toto Wolff. But before we do that, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below if you like all things F1. Alright, now let's get back to the video. There's no denying it. Mercedes had a terrible performance in the Austrian GP. Sure, they managed to score some points, but that's not up to their usual standards. They're used to being on the podium, not just scraping by. We won't go into all the details of their performance because you've probably heard enough about it already. Instead, let's focus on what Mercedes has to look forward to. According to James Allison, a Mercedes engineer, there are some positive developments. The W14 car has become more stable during braking, reducing the chances of the front wheels locking up. The team has also made progress in terms of generating downforce. However, Allison admits that the rear of the car still lacks stability. Mercedes also has to deal with the budget cap, which means they have to be more cautious with their spending. In the past, they could throw money around to make rapid progress, but now they have to work within the limits of their budget. It is difficult, but other teams also suffer from that, argues by the Mercedes chief. Confidence is undiminished at the German team for now. Red Bull should be catchable. I also keep saying internally, why couldn't it already happen this year? As long as we keep developing our car, there is no reason not to think that, he added. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, shared a similar sentiment, expressing his dissatisfaction with the team's performance in the previous race. He criticized it as underwhelming and emphasized the need for improvement. It seems that Toto is rarely content unless his team is winning. As Horner pointed out, he has a strong desire for victory, but we'll delve into that later. Despite the setback in Austria, Wolff remains confident that Mercedes will catch up to Red Bull by the end of the season. I maintain the belief, Wolff told Autosport. Because if I were to say I don't maintain the belief, then we may as well turn it off and put everything into next year's car and be happy to finish in the top 10. But you can't. You just have to continue working. We need to take these bad days as good as possible and try to rebound and come closer. We've seen races where we were decent, and I think the gap to Verstappen was 10 seconds in Montreal, which looks much more encouraging than it was in Austria. Speculations have been swirling regarding the upgrades that Mercedes will bring to Silverstone, and many fans have been eagerly anticipating some significant changes. However, let's face the reality. James, as mentioned earlier, pointed out that due to the budget cap, we shouldn't expect drastic alterations, but rather a gradual evolution over multiple races. According to Andrew Shovlin, the main upgrade for the W14 will focus on the front wing. The W14 has already seen several improvements introduced in Monaco, which have directly benefited Lewis Hamilton and George Russell in their pursuit of Red Bull. Now, Shovlin, the trackside engineer director, has shed light on how the W14 will be further adapted for the upcoming race at Silverstone, their home turf. We've got updates coming to the car. We have a new front wing that we're going to be bringing that will hopefully move us a bit further up the grid. And also, we're hoping that the track itself is just going to suit the car a bit better than that Austria circuit. So we're working very hard. We know that it's going to be very difficult to get anywhere close to Max in the Red Bull car. But we've got a great fight going on at the moment with Ferrari, with Aston Martin, McLaren have joined in that battle. These upgrades are unlikely to miraculously close the gap to Red Bull. It's evident that Red Bull is in a league of their own when they have enough time for an extra pit stop just to secure the fastest lap. Mercedes will simply be hoping to avoid a repeat of their disappointing performance in Austria. Hamilton in particular would prefer not to receive another directive from Toto to focus on driving. However, it's important to note that there was no lingering fallout from Toto's reprimand. Hamilton himself has acknowledged his comments, reviewed them, and expressed a commitment to change his behavior over the team radio. Hamilton stated, "The best thing about our partnership is that we are direct with each other. Toto is an out-and-out racer who was just trying to encourage me. That was his way of doing it. I have reviewed my comments and where I was at mentally. I will adjust that in the future." No doubt that it did not affect his contract with Mercedes. The prolonged contract negotiations between Hamilton and Mercedes are finally reaching a resolution, which seems appropriate considering that both parties greatly value each other. While there have been rumors of Ferrari attempting to attract the 7-time world champion, it is highly unlikely to happen. Hamilton and Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff have consistently expressed their confidence in reaching a new agreement, with Wolff specifically stating that financial matters and contract length are not causing the delay. When asked about confirming Wolff's comments ahead of the British Grand Prix, Hamilton said, "That's correct." Toto Wolff had mentioned last month that an announcement regarding Hamilton's new contract was imminent, suggesting it would only take days to finalize. However, the subsequent silence surrounding the matter has fueled speculation about Hamilton's future. Like many others, you might be wondering if the team's recent decline in performance has caused the 7-time world champion to reconsider his position and potentially forego signing a new contract. That's not what I'm thinking. Before the end of the season, we'll be already well into the contract. I still have 100% faith in this team, Hamilton said to Sky Sports. Mercedes had a great time in Barcelona and Canada, but unfortunately, Austria didn't go well for them. Hamilton wasn't happy with the team's momentum there. It is taking longer for all of us to get to where we want to be, and it's definitely not easy. But I believe that we will get there. We've just got to continue to work and chip away at it, and that's what we're trying to do, Hamilton stated. Hamilton revealed that Mercedes would be introducing a limited package for the Silverstone GP. It's not a huge package or anything like that, but we're just making step by step, hopefully trying to close down the gap. I was in the factory on Tuesday and Wednesday with the team, and everyone was back in flat out just focused on turning that negative into a positive here this weekend, Hamilton added. The reason behind Hamilton's delay in signing the contract could be the unique nature of the agreement. Reports suggest that it won't just be a regular racing contract, but also an ambassadorial contract. Sources have revealed that Hamilton has been offered a 1-year deal with the option for a second year. However, there seems to be a disagreement regarding Hamilton's demand for a 10-year ambassadorial deal, and Mercedes is currently hesitant to agree to it. Damon Hill has mentioned that the contract discussions are likely to involve board meetings at Mercedes headquarters, indicating that it won't solely be Toto Wolff's decision. Hill shared this information with the Independent ahead of the British Grand Prix this weekend. As I understand it, the contract won't just be a racing contract, it will be a full Mercedes ambassadorial contract. That requires a different board to sign off on it. Can't just be signed off by Toto. There'll be some board meetings in Germany. While it's understandable to speculate about the motives behind contract negotiations, it's challenging to definitively determine whether it's solely a PR stunt for Mercedes. Announcing the contract at the British GP on Sunday would indeed be a great setting, capturing the attention of fans and media alike. However, contract negotiations often involve various factors and considerations that can impact the timing and announcement strategy. So while the British GP would be an opportune moment, there may be other reasons at play behind the scenes that contribute to the timing of the contract announcement. A significant topic of discussion in Formula 1 revolves around the 2026 regulations, and Max Verstappen has voiced his dissatisfaction once again. In his latest remarks, he criticized the regulations, describing them as overly complex and flawed. Verstappen's comments highlight an ongoing debate within the sport regarding the direction and effectiveness of the proposed regulations for the 2026 season. I think it's overcomplicating a lot of things, and from the engine side, we really need to have a good look at it. But I also know that some people think they will have an advantage, so we'll say that they think the regulations are good. I think from my side, just looking at it as a racing driver, I think it's wrong. But you always have these politics in Formula 1 where one team thinks, yeah, I think we can take an advantage out of this. they will say it's great, right? But at the end of the day, we have to look into what is good for the sport. And at the moment with how it's looking, I don't think it's good for the sport, Verstappen said. Could Max be covertly sending coded messages to another team? There's no need to tiptoe around this issue. It's highly likely that the recipient of these messages is Mercedes, given the striking similarity between Max's words and those of Horner. The Red Bull team principal hasn't been as cordial towards the Mercedes team principal. Unfortunately, that's typically Toto, where he's just focused on self-performance. Horner is quoted by Sky Sports. My interest is actually about the sport rather than self-gain. It's still way too early to say who's going to have a competitive or uncompetitive engine in 2026. For me, the most important thing is from a sports point of view that we all have a collective responsibility to work with the FIA and the commercial rights holder to ensure that the product is as good as it can be. Otherwise, we've all failed. The upcoming races and developments in Formula 1 are certainly keeping us on the edge of our seats. Will Mercedes bounce back from their disappointing performance in Austria? What upgrades will they bring to Silverstone? And how will Max Verstappen's comments on the 2026 regulations impact the future of the sport? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.